Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're doing another figure comparison video, and it's really got to that point, hasn't it? Um, Basically, if you guys haven't realized, I am doing these goofy little figure comparisons just because I thought it would be more funny just to see, like, the difference between a higher quality figure versus a lower quality figure. But with that being said, let's introduce today's not combatants, but again, we're doing general figure style comparisons, no like point based. We're just comparing things here. So in this right here, we have the HIYA Toys Heat Ray Godzilla from 2021. I've said that like who knows how many times at this point. And we also have the Playmates Battle Roar Godzilla from the MonsterVerse line, specifically the Godzilla vs. Kong. Um, and again, we have 7 categories: sculpt and paint, articulation, size, accessories, price, availability, and packaging. I'll also be addressing build quality because there is a major difference between the two. So let's go ahead and talk about what's here. So I think the most noticeable part is how they fare as far as the heads are concerned. The HIYA Toys standard mold features it in a basic looking forward stance and has amazing sculpt and paint applications on it that just overall really enhance the figure's overall look, especially with the blue spray around its eyes, mouth, neck, and the back of the head, and also features a lot of really well cracks and crevices on it. And my only gripe is that the fins are, sorry, the gills are not painted, and the neck just is painted too thickly. It almost looks like nail polish. The Playmates Battle Roar, on the other hand, has very, very basically applied paint on the teeth and eyes, as you can see there. All right, I guess, kind of like sculpted details for the head and neck, and it eventually transitions into the blue spines, which we'll talk about later, but also mildly features the infamous dry brushing, which I do so despise on this figure, but also features a screw hole, actually no, 2 screw holes right at the bottom of the neck. So, and also as far as the mouth is concerned, nothing is really in there aside from the teeth and the pink slab of a tongue. And the eyes are also kind of mismatched a little bit. Here it's a little bit more towards the back. Here it's a little bit more towards the center, but a little bit downward. So Playmates has never been the best when it comes to consistency. I saw a regular one. Actually, no, I think it was the Heat Ray Godzilla from the basic Monsters line with the battle damage that had its eye all the way up here. That's not really good. Moving on down here to the waist and the arms, we can definitely see that the arms here are a lot, what you would say, better. Again, we're not trying to compare which one's better, but they're really well detailed, and they capture the movie's design and all the sculpted details with it very, very well. And the dry brushing and linear details really bring it out, and especially kind of like the mild wash they have up on the side of the figure. It's really well done. And I gotta hand it to HIYA. It looks something straight out of the movie, which you know when it's something straight out of the film, you know you're doing it right. My only gripe with the HIYA is that, again, the stomach lining, it just doesn't transition well into the arms and kind of makes it look like a vest because there's not enough blue to really like give the illusion that it's a spray. Again, it just looks like a vest. Which, I mean, hey, if Godzilla's wearing clothes now, I mean, he's been, what, nude for like over 70 years? About time the big guy put some pants on. But, like, seriously? I definitely think that this could have been at least tightened up more. It definitely screams that these were separate parts. They sprayed this blue, but didn't really consider how it would transition over. And that's how it looks now. Although, again, what blue is here is absolutely phenomenal, and I gotta give bonus points to HIYA where it is due. Because honestly, again, I'll keep saying this, where there is not mistakes, there is perfection. And this perfection goes a long way. Look at all that like dry brushing and detailing and spray on there, and it's washed in beautifully, especially in Godzilla's like what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an 8 pack. That's an 8 pack. I've already known that, but like I was trying to recount. But on the Playmates, on the other hand, it's a lot, again, kind of similar to the head. Not just kind of, but really similar to the head, where it's more simplified. It's got the same detail, but it doesn't have the same level of detail. It's got the same type of bumps and crevices you'd see, and it's also got the same details on the sides. But unlike the HIYA, it's made of a different material, and the dry brushing that's kind of so and so, it's not even really dry brushing. It just feels like more caked on paint. And especially because, like, here you got like this big speaker that we'll talk about in a sec. Also, this big battery compartment on its crotch. Like, it definitely leaves a bit of the details out. But then again, you could say it's a kid's toy, but creations were also kids' toys. And those things had beautiful sculpting paint apps. Where did we fall as a society? Anyway, the claws are also painted pretty basically, kind of just standard dry brushing. Although the hands are very well dry brushed. Like, look at those claws; those are really well done. But I mean, as in really well done, I mean for Playmate standards. But at the end of the day, I think it's kind of clear where these two would fall. Next, let's talk about the legs. And again, HIYA comes in and really shows what they can do here. There's not any blue on the legs, which I definitely think is a bit of a disappointment, especially the fact that in the main atomic breath scene, he's literally shooting downward and his entire body was practically glowing blue. So a little bit of blue dry brushing definitely goes a little long way. And I think that's something that even the NECA has shown that they can actually beat HIYA in. But what this is here is that the dry brushing and sculpting are magnificent. They really show, again, the amount of detailing that HIYA was worth putting into their figures. The amount of dry brushing on this thing, again, brings out more of that finer detail that you don't even get to see had this thing been made of, like, what, glossy plastic. And even the claws down here are painted really well. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. And once you actually see it, you'll definitely recognize it. And it's in a standard kind of like to the side pose, which again, not bad. And plus, it's really well done. While the Playmates, on the other hand, also features kind of like the same type of detailing they have, but again, not the same level. But it kind of accommodates it for some mild dry brushing throughout the body and features some more prominent painted toenails. Which, that being said, again, it's not on the same level. It's abundantly clear that, they keep reusing stuff from the Heat Ray Godzilla, and he's kind of biting them into the butt a little bit, especially when it comes to the proportions, the stance of the leg, considering the fact that one leg is bent backward and the other one is a bit forward, as if it's a neutral position. So why they keep doing that with their Godzillas but not their Kongs, I have no idea. Next, we're going to take a look at the spines. And do I even need to say anything? I know it's not a compare. I know it's not a versus anymore, but you can obviously tell just how beautiful these HIYA ones are. They're made of pretty good material too. It is mildly bendy, but it's not like rubber bendy like this. It's very much not intended to bend. But honestly, I know this is going to sound really weird, but if Godzilla's spines were made of a real material and we could find a real material like it would probably be this. So in terms of like material accuracy, it could be those fins. And the fact that they're painted really brightly at the base, but kind of fade out towards the middle and then the tips, really just bring out that extra sense of depth that you'd see in the movie, and the HIYA really does it really well. However, Playmates also opts to go for a much more different approach. Much like the Heat Ray Godzilla, this thing also uses translucent plastic for the spines. And even though that, again, This is like what, my 15th time taking a look at both figures. I still say that the Battle Roar spines absolutely suck. The reason being, and I'm going to pull out the other, I'm going to pull out the Heat Ray Godzilla just for this comparison, is that the Heat Ray Godzilla, let's move the HIYA out of the way, is that the Heat Ray Godzilla spines actually look what you would see in the movie. They are actually pretty pointy and not softened out. This is sad. Like, this is dinky. Like, this, went from this point to this point. Like, maybe you could say it's to caution, like, to, because of parenting and kids, but again, they're selling these on the same shelf as these, so. Also, it is worth noting that it also does the same thing with the spines here, where it actually has a gap of the black and then it transitions to the blue, and then they kind of just give up midway and then just kind of leave the rest of the tail just completely black, which in my opinion, you gotta go the extra route. I mean, even down to the tail, which will actually just transition over to the tail. Both of them feature unique looking tails, with the Playmates featuring a much more different posed tail with it curving up like an S, and featuring that very cool looking spray, although I wish there was a bit more of a transition there rather than just light blue to dark translucent plastic, while the HIYA has definitely got more of a unique looking kind of gradient and really seeping in through the cracks kind of color, and it honestly just looks really well done. And it even kind of goes off to the side where it dry brushes back into the regular skin color and then just kind of tapes off into the bottom of the tail, where again it kind of looks more sandy and it kind of makes sense. And one last minute to really like take a talk about build quality. This thing is actually built from a pretty good art plastic. And it's kind of like a you get what you pay for type thing. This feels very, very good. And even though it's really sharp, I mean, hey, you got to man up to play with these things. This feels very cheap, very brittle. And honestly, again, I know it's a kid's toy, but whatever happened to vinyl figures, huh? So overall, let's really narrow this down. It's not a versus, so no one's winning or losing any points. That being said, HIYA has definitely got a really great presentation with its combination of sculpt, paint, build quality, and overall consistency. With only a few flaws I personally find being in the chest and neck. That's relatively it. While the Playmates, it's a take it or leave it kind of deal. You know, you either like it for what it is or you hate it for what it is as far as sculpt and paint goes. So that's the sculpt and paint section.